Take a second to get all the wiggles out so you can sit still for a moment. Start breathing deeply into the belly, not the chest. Dropping the energy from the top half of the body into the lower half. Melting into your seat, creating space. Dropping the shoulders. And just existing for a few minutes. We get so stuck in the constant movement, the constant going, always feeling like every second, every minute needs to be occupied and productive. But we weren't built to be on constantly. We were built to have rest periods, space and time to just exist and be, recover from the busyness. Lower our stress levels. Come back to that state of calm. If we can find just 1 to 3 minutes a day, preferably throughout the day, to just take a second and breathe and exist and purposefully do nothing. And drop the to-do lists and just engage your senses and notice the world around you. What you see and hear, feel and smell, taste. Just come into the present moment and know that as long as you can find 1 to 3 minutes to do nothing, then you have time to do all of the other things as well. So we're going to talk about overwhelm, specifically as an online business owner, which is something I don't think a lot of brick and mortar businesses will understand. We're not just, and I don't know, okay, I've never ran a brick and mortar business, so I can't really speak to that. It's just from what I understand and what I know. Your brick and mortar business, yeah, you have to worry about permits and taxes, which we do too, sales, marketing, yeah, all of that. But as an online business owner, we're the writer, the editor, the photographer, the graphic designer, the marketer, the market researcher, the social media manager, not to mention parents, employees at other jobs, partners, in our relationships. We're siblings, we are aunts and uncles and grandchildren and, friends. We're wearing all of these hats all the time, and it's a constant learning curve because you can't just, I'm going to run a business helping people fix their anxiety and confidence problems. Well, okay, great. So, that sounds great on the surface. So I'm just going to study anxiety and confidence and just talk about it and be about it and all of that. But with the tech end of things, you're constantly having to troubleshoot and learn and navigate and YouTube tutorial and all of that to figure out, how do I run my website? Oh crap, something on my website's broken. Now I have to troubleshoot that. Tech support's not always super helpful depending on what service you go through and whatnot. So, it can be really overwhelming, especially in the early years when you're trying to get off the ground and trying to get everything situated and figured out and mainstreamed and streamlined and all of that. So, I have some tips. First of all, you need to make sure that you are prioritizing your time and energy and being crystal clear on what it is you're trying to accomplish. If you're not super clear on what you're doing, then you're going to waste a lot of time and energy jumping around from task to task, not really sure what you're doing or where you're creating or where your time and energy needs to go. Social media in and of itself, for example, each platform takes probably a solid hour a day minimum. So if you're on a lot of different platforms because you're jumping around from that one to that one, then that in and of itself is going to be super overwhelming. So you want to get crystal clear on what your goal is. Is it monetization? Is it clients? Is it products? Are you trying to get published in other on other websites, other publications? Are you trying to write a book? What is your specific goal so that you know exactly how to focus your time and energy? If your goal is monetization, but you're spending all your time on creating social media content before you have something to monetize, you don't have a program, you don't have a course, you don't have a product, you don't have anything like that, then that's a solid waste of time, because you can't market and promote and create content surrounding your product, your course, your service, whatever, if you don't have those things to point people back to once they're interested. So that's a solid waste of time. If your goal is to gain followers, but you're just, I don't know, let's see. Followers is a solid one. Writing all the time. I'm really bad at coming up with examples on the spot. Anyway, sit down and make sure you know what your goal is. First of all, what are you doing? What are you doing? What is your overall big picture goal? What are you trying to create? And then from there, pull out 1 to 3 goals per month, okay? Or per moon cycle if you follow that like I do. But no more than 3, because then you're going to get all over the place and overwhelmed, essentially. There's this method called the $5, $10, $25 task list. So write out everything that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis. List them all out. And I like highlighters. So 3 different color highlighters, and highlight your $5 tasks in one color, your $10 tasks in another color, and your $25 tasks in the third color. And what those $5, $10, $25 tasks are your priority list. The $5 tasks are the things that, they need to be done, but it's not a huge deal if they don't get done. It's not going to make or break anything. It's not going to push me forward a whole lot if I do them. The $10 tasks is kind of in the medium of that. And then the $25 tasks are the things that are really going to make massive shifts and massive change in your massive progress in your business and what you're doing. So just knowing exactly what it is that you need to do and what priority they're in can help a lot. When you wake up in the morning, you know you need to know exactly what it is that you need to accomplish for progress sakes, for contentment's sake. Okay, come to an agreement with yourself that if you get one $25 task done a day, or if you get two $10 tasks done a day, or if you get four $5 tasks a day, you know, whatever is your quota for contentment, if you get that done in a day, then you will cut yourself a break, cut yourself some slack, and convince yourself, agree that it is okay if that's all you do. You're good. If you don't want to do anything else that day, that's fine. Should you do more? I mean, that's relative. You know, I don't want you to push yourself so hard that you feel like you're constantly going and you don't have any time to breathe, and you don't have time to eat, and you don't have time to shower, and you don't have time to play with your children, or, you know, whatever. Yeah, building a business, sacrifices have to be made in some instances, but at the same time, I'm a Taurus. I believe in having your cake and eating it too. So if you manage your time correctly, and just note, you know, if you feel like you're crunched for time, write down all the things outside of your business that you're doing in a day, in a week. You know, how much time are you spending scrolling on Facebook? How much time are you watching TV? How much time are you playing video games? You know, all of these things, and see where you can cut things out. You know, is scrolling on Facebook for 4 hours fulfilling your soul and your heart with contentment and peace and happiness? I mean, probably not, honestly. If your feed's anything like my feed, it gets really stressful very quickly. So there's an app I downloaded. Let me share it with you real quick. What is it called? It tells me quality time. And it's on Android. I don't know if it's on iPhone. Sorry. But it tells me in my, we'll see, up here, it has right there, and it's here all the time. So it's a little notification right there. It says today's usage is 1 hour and 4 minutes. And then it usually tells me yesterday's usage. Maybe that one's already gone. So, and then you can click on it, and it tells you, like, by app and stuff. So it tells you how much time you're spending per app. And so, you know, just being aware is super useful to cutting it down a little bit, because, you know, it's easy to say, I haven't spent a whole lot of time on my phone, and then you look at it and you're like, wow, 6 hours? Really? Like a full part-time job on my phone today alone. And, you know, it does count everything. So I personally don't count emails or Google or, you know, things that are business related to time usage. So it's a little bit less than that. But yeah, so, you know, being aware of where you're spending your time is the first step in putting that time where you want it to go and where you need it to go. And, you know, I'm not saying stop playing video games if that's what you do to wind down, if that's what, you know, brings happiness to your life, then absolutely make time for it. You know, what is the point of having your own business and making your own hours and having this income to free things up if you don't feel free to do the things that you enjoy, right? But just make sure you're prioritizing the things that need to be done versus the things that don't necessarily need to be done, or aren't bringing joy to your life, or aren't bringing progress to your goals. Okay. Another thing I've done to kind of release that overwhelm, because a lot of it is mindset, a lot of it is us being hard on ourselves. You know, we feel like we're not seeing enough progress where we want to see progress in, so we need to push ourselves further, harder, more, so that we can start seeing that progress, right? But a lot of the times that just ends up us bouncing around from one thing to the next and never actually accomplishing anything, never actually getting anything done. And it's just a lot of busy work, you know. Uh, Cutting ourselves some slack, finding that contentment quota to where you're happy and content and you can let yourself rest if you do this and that, and then you have the rest of the day for whatever. It matters extensively, okay? You deserve rest, you deserve that space to breathe. And honestly, the more time you create to do nothing in your life and just practice these meditations that we do, which allows you to clear your mind of all the busyness. And if your mind isn't busy, then the ideas flow freely. Okay. If you're just sitting in your hammock, staring at the clouds, enjoying the weather, and just content and peaceful, not thinking about any particular thing except your surroundings, and you allow yourself that space to just breathe and be and just enjoy existing for a little bit, then that's where things pop in your head and they click, and it's like, hey, I've been struggling with this over here. What if I tried this and that? That makes so much sense. Why did I not think of that beforehand? Well, you didn't think of it beforehand because your mind was too busy running around stressing out and all over the place, right? There was no time and space for that idea, for that click to come into being and show itself and present itself to you. So if that's meditation is one of the most common factors you will find in the lifestyles of the rich and famous. Okay, successful people, most of them contribute their status and being to meditation and creating that space and aligning their vibrations and their mindset and clearing and creating space to be happy and content and peaceful so that these ideas and all of that can flow in as it's needed. I forgot who it was. I read a book or something who he was talking about if he had, was it Rich Dad Poor Dad's what just popped in my head? If that's it, I'm not sure. But anyway, he was talking about if he had a big business deal or something coming up and he was a little like, I'm not sure how this is going to work, then he would drop everything and go on vacation. Because he knew that the best thing for him to do in that position is to fix his emotions, fix his vibrations, fix his state of being, his state of mind. So he would go on vacation, relax, hang out, do a whole lot of nothing for a little while, and most of the time while he's gone, something would occur or something would happen. You know, the law of attraction and those coincidences and all, something would happen that would create space for the deal to be better and more positive, and suddenly it would all just fall into place. So I'm not saying anytime you have any work to do, go on vacation or shut down and do nothing. You know, there's a difference between creating space and deciding, can this wait for 10 minutes? Can this wait for a couple of days so that I can just create space in my life to breathe for a second? Most of the time it's yes. And we get so caught up in being professional and all of that and consistent and, you know, following all of the steps that we've read to a T, that we want this, basically we're showing up so consistently and so loyally to our business, to social media, to emails, to all of these things, that it gets overwhelming in and of itself, because once again, we're turned on all the time. And if we can just convince ourselves, let ourselves know that it's okay if you don't send an email one day or 1 week. That happened to me this past week. For the first time ever. I've never forgotten to send emails. I forgot to send emails this week or last week. But it got me to thinking, you know, did my business fall apart because I didn't send those 2 emails? No. Did anybody notice? If they did, they didn't say anything. And does it make me look more human and relatable? Because none of us are perfect and none of us can be turned on all the time, doing things, thinking and answering people and all of that all the time. Sometimes we have to turn our phones off, okay? Sometimes we have to take a step back and just like, whew, because it gets a lot, especially the more you grow, it's going to get more and more. There's always going to be somebody to answer on your emails. There's always going to be someone to answer on social media. You could sit there and waste hours and hours and hours and days on this stuff and still never find the bottom, because as soon as you answer 3, 2 more pop up, and it's a never ending cycle. So you have to learn boundaries and creating space for yourself to be okay with not answering your phone constantly. Put it on silent, okay? Flip it over, don't look at it. Set hours and boundaries for yourself. Tell yourself that from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. I will answer emails and do social media and whatever. And then after 9 a.m., no more emails, no more social media, no more whatever, what's holding you back specifically. So set boundaries for yourself and know that it's okay to make people wait a second, okay? You are busy. Your time is valuable. Your time is so important. It is our most valuable resource, okay? So it's okay for you to let people chill for a little bit. They are not going to go anywhere. The nature of the internet is, it's here when you need it. And when it's constant like that, you have to set boundaries around answering for your own sanity. I've created a to-done list, which doesn't make sense. It needs a better name. If you have an idea for a better name, once I explain what it is, then let me know, because to-done doesn't really make any sense. But it kind of gets the point through anyway. So, create to-do lists for sure, and prioritize them, absolutely. But another thing I like to do, is something that's helped me a lot with Overwhelm, is because I'm really bad about going, hashtag mom life, mompreneur. And so, 3 o'clock in the afternoon will roll around. I have been going nonstop, and I don't feel like I have accomplished anything, which, puts you in a bad state of mind. It's like, oh, this is so frustrating because I have put out so much energy and I haven't gotten anything done. Well, that's not always the case, though. A lot of times, maybe I didn't get a lot done with my business end of things, but, I took a shower. I made the kids breakfast and lunch. I prepped some food up for dinner and tomorrow. I washed some clothes. I folded some laundry. I did the dishes. I went and hung out with my grandmother. That's a thing to put on your to-do list. It is a good thing to do. I did some yoga. I meditated. I fed the dogs. I watered the garden. I cleaned up the living room. It can go on and on and on forever. So you feel like you didn't accomplish anything, but then when you write all these things down, you're like, oh, I got like a solid 25 things done today. Were they things towards my business? No, but they were important aspects of life that needed to be done. They needed to be accomplished, and I got them done. So I can be happy, proud, content with myself, because today was a do things around the house day. I didn't get any of that done, but that'll be there tomorrow. It's not a huge deal. As long as you're making your priority list and you know what has to be done and what doesn't necessarily have to be done, then you can spend your time on the $25 tasks when you do get to your laptop. So, it evens out, and it's all a mindset, giving yourself a break, space, and compassion, patience. This is not going to be built quickly. If you want to build anything lasting or important or big, whatever, It's going to take time. And if you have another job or kids or, responsibilities outside of your laptop, then it's going to take even more time. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay. We're here for the long haul. You just do your best and accept that your best is your best, and that's perfectly good enough. And later on, you may have more time to focus on it. Until then, we're just going to keep on trucking and keep on building one $25 task at a time. If you can, if you have the resources, make a list of things that need to be done but that other people can do, and see if you can find Fiverr is a great place. So Fiverr, Fiverr.com is a great place to hire people to help you do $5 tasks, and most of them really do cost $5. So, and a lot of people, we get into the scarcity mindset of, yeah, $5 isn't a lot, but at the same time, I could do this for free. And yeah, you can, but then you get into the time versus money aspect. Do you want to spend $5 or do you want to spend 2 hours of your life? Because, we can figure it out ourselves, but, we have to go YouTube tutorial it and Google it. And sometimes it takes a few Google searches before you find the right word phrasing to get it to pop up the search results that you actually need for this task. And then you got to figure out how to do this task. And, more often than not, since it's something we don't know how to do anyway, like graphic design or Facebook ads or whatever, then we're going to have to spend some time tweaking it. We might do it wrong, whatever. Whereas we can just, instead of spending 4 or 5 hours of our life on it, because that's usually about average, especially if you have kids and you're running around and stuff, that's about how long it's going to take for most of these tasks, that you can just get on Fiverr, find somebody to do it for you, and where that's all they do, and like, here's $5 and they have it back to you within a day, so it's that give and take. You gotta find what works for you, cut yourself some slack. Don't be afraid to ask for help, find help. If you're running around like crazy and you're not really sure where you're going or what you're doing or what you need to be spending time on, then, find a coach. I can help. But yeah, we can't build these things alone. A lot of us try to, and that's where a lot of the overwhelm stems from, because life was never meant to be a solo sport, and we've become so separated. That's kind of mostly what it is these days. And that's why we're so distraught and overwhelmed and anxious and depressed and all of that, because we need that community, collaborations can help you take a little bit of the slack, or, we'll put a little slack in the cord of running your business, because when you collaborate with people and you make content together, or they make content for you, that's one piece of content you didn't have to make, which means, if you post one blog post a week, and a lot of people do a ton more than that, so, that's just, I do one a week because that's what I can do. And, if I have somebody come in to do a guest post for me, then that's 1 week I don't have to write a guest post or a blog post. So, you can find ways to, cut down the slack and put things together to where they're not as demanding on you. You just have to figure out how to do and find out how to do it and create space. I know it's counterintuitive. Okay, I know it's counterintuitive. The more overwhelmed you are, the more time you need to be focusing on creating space to just exist. And I know that's counterintuitive, and I'm not saying shut down. I'm saying if you start feeling yourself burn out because you've been sitting at your computer for an hour and a half, 2 hours, then get up, go for a walk, take a nap, meditate, create space for yourself to just exist. I know it's counterintuitive, but the more stressed you are, the more overwhelmed you are, the more you need to take a step back, okay? Your mental health is important, your physical health is important, and don't be confused. Your mental health is tied to your physical health. So if you start burning yourself out mentally, it is going to start manifesting physically and you're going to get sick. Okay, so take care of yourself first. Listen to your body and what it's trying to tell you and follow suit. A lot of things can be streamlined. So, batching, batch, create 20. If you're doing, for example, Instagram graphics, do 20 of them at a time. Sit down, spend 2 hours doing 20 of them, and then schedule them out, and ta-da, you're done with that. Blog posts, write 4 at a time. As you're writing them, take pieces of them and schedule them out to social media. There's you more posts. Take published blog posts, recycle the content. You take a written blog post, published blog post already, and a portion of it can very easily turn into your Instagram caption on post A, B, C, whatever. Recycle and batch. Could not recommend that more. Also, Streamline. If this, then that.com. So it's IFTTT. If this, then that. IFTTT. I think. Type it in. And what it does is, if you're not familiar with it, it connects social medias and Google and things on the internet to, for example, I have a Google Calendar that I can put things into and schedule it to post once every 25 weeks. And it will, when we get to that time and place on the calendar, it will post a Pinterest post, just for example. I have it set up for Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter. So your automation, okay, automate everything you can, because once again, you're only one person. Automate what you can, and then that way you look like you're doing a lot more than you actually are, and it takes a lot off of your plate. That's all I have for today. If you have any questions, please let me know. This was a fun one to do. I will edit it, and then it should be out Thursday on the blog post that will accompany it. So, there's no need to take notes ever. If I didn't have a blog post on last week's, because last week's is when I was still dealing with my whole allergy stuff. So I went back and forth about canceling it over and over and over again. I was like, no, I'm going to show up. Oh, I feel like crap, I'm going to show up anyway. So I did, and it was terrible. It was terrible. I didn't feel prepared. It might have been fine. I don't know. We're our own worst critics, for sure. But anyway, if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to help. Until then, I will see you next week for, I don't know what. Do I have, hold on. Where's my calendar? Just get a new one. Okay. Oh, stay tuned for our guest Thursday. That's exciting. And then I think I'm going to take theirs and do blog posts around theirs too. That might be me adding more to my plate than I can handle. But anyway, next week's is breaking through the culture scape. That's a fun one too, because a lot of us are held back by what people think, and especially our friends and family who may be less than supportive on our online business ventures and whatnot. So stay tuned for that, and until then, if you're seeing this on YouTube or on the blog post, join us live in the Facebook group every Tuesday and Thursday. I do Tuesdays. I always have a guest expert come in on Thursdays, and until then, I will see y'all later. Namaste.